Well, it's all relative. I mean, I don't think they struggle. I mean, I think they've had several million pounds. They've got several million pounds in the bank, if not more. You know, they live in a huge mansion in Montecito. So I don't think the word struggle. I think maybe they're in danger sometimes of, you know, overspend, haven't they? They've got a big security bill.
One of the British monarchy's most controversial figures may have just handed Prince William the ammunition he needed to do what fans have demanded for years. As Netflix walked away from her lifestyle brand, staff continued to flee her orbit, and her repeated use of royal titles reignited fury across the Commonwealth. Meghan's position within the royal world has never looked more fragile. Is the palace finally ready to draw the line it has been avoiding since 2020? And why are insiders now claiming that William already has a detailed plan in motion? Join us as we expose what Meghan reportedly stands to lose and why the clock is already ticking. The deal that was supposed to end the drama. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan dropped a massive bomb on the British monarchy by announcing they were quitting their jobs as senior royals. The media immediately threw a tantrum and labeled it Megxit, while the royal family panicked behind closed doors. To clean up the mess, the late Queen called a mandatory family meeting at her Sandringham estate to hammer out the terms of the exit. That high-stakes gathering became known as the Sandringham Summit, and it was meant to kill the drama before the whole institution imploded. The Queen, Charles, William, and Harry sat down to figure out how to handle the runaway royals. The final agreement looked simple on paper. Harry and Meghan got permission to pack their bags, move across the ocean, and try to make their own money. Of course, the institution did not let them leave without strings attached. The family threw in a bunch of massive restrictions, laying the groundwork for years of petty media leaks and an inevitable fallout that everyone actually saw coming. The biggest catch of the whole deal was the titles. The palace put out an official update that basically said Harry and Meghan got to keep being called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They even technically kept their His and Her Royal Highness status. But there was a massive asterisk next to it. They had to promise never to use those HRH titles again because they were no longer on the family payroll. The palace picked those words very carefully, and the couple signed the paper. But here is the thing nobody talks about enough. The restriction on using HRH was a gentleman's agreement, not a legal decree. Nobody actually removed the title. Nobody issued letters patent to strip it of its power. Nobody legislated it through Parliament. The title still existed on paper, and that meant it could still be used. One heraldry expert reportedly told the Daily Beast that there were plenty of people who said it was foolish to make the arrangement informal rather than simply removing the title altogether. That warning turned out to be prophetic, because Meghan did not stop using the title, at least not entirely. What followed over the next few years was not just a royal scandal, it was a masterclass in how to turn a gentleman's agreement into a full-blown crisis. But how bad did things actually get? The titles that became a ticking time bomb. What happened after Harry and Meghan quit the royal family made the original exit look like a peaceful tea party. In March 2021, the couple sat down with Oprah Winfrey for an interview that essentially blew up the internet.
I need to do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something for my own mental health, for my wife's, and for Archie's as well, because I could see where this was headed.
They didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
What?
It was really hard.
They accused the royal family of racism and claimed the palace completely ignored Meghan's deteriorating mental health. Nearly 50 million people watched the broadcast live. That is enough people to fill every single football stadium in England simultaneously, with a massive crowd still waiting outside. The fallout completely hijacked the global news cycle for weeks, and that was just the opening act. Harry then went ahead and published his memoir, called Spare, in January 2023. He revealed private conversations with his father and brother and described painful family arguments in detail so vivid that people could practically hear the shouting. Before that, in December 2022, a 6-part Netflix documentary series dropped and immediately became a record-breaking hit. The palace was furious, and every new revelation pushed Harry and Meghan further from the family. And every single one raised the big question of how long two people can publicly criticize an institution while still carrying its titles and enjoying all the prestige that comes with them. It is like quitting your job, telling everyone on social media how terrible the company is, but still putting the company's name on your business card because it opens doors. Every critical interview, every headline-grabbing accusation, and every tell-all book came from people who still called themselves the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Those titles gave their words serious weight. Those titles gave their personal brand real value. And critics kept pointing out that those titles were supposed to come with responsibilities the couple had completely walked away from. The Sandringham Agreement was supposed to be a neat little peace treaty. The palace wanted a clean break so everyone could move on and pretend everything was fine. Instead, the deal backfired completely. By letting Harry and Meghan walk away, the family accidentally stripped them of all the corporate rules that usually keep royals quiet. The agreement did not bring peace. It just handed the couple a massive global microphone and took away the mute button. The supposed truce turned out to be a ticking time bomb, and the entire world was just waiting for the explosion. But here is what makes the whole thing even crazier. The bomb did not blow up all at once. It went off bit by bit, and it eventually showed that Meghan never really planned to let go of the title in the first place. So what exactly did she do that finally made the palace stop looking the other way? The title she refused to let go. For a while, the arrangement appeared to hold. Harry and Meghan moved to Montecito, California. They signed a massive deal with Netflix. They launched their Archewell Foundation. And when they appeared in public, they used the Sussex titles, but avoided the HRH designation. At least publicly, then things started to change. The first real mess happened in early 2025. A lifestyle entrepreneur named Jamie Kern-Lima mentioned on her podcast that Meghan sent her a gift basket. Normally, nobody would care about a basket of free stuff, but there was a massive catch. The note inside was signed, "With the compliments of HRH, the Duchess of Sussex." The HRH title was printed right there for everyone to see and was a direct violation of the Sandringham Agreement. Meghan's PR team tried to claim it was just a personal gift between friends and was not a business move. The problem was that the basket was filled with Meghan's own brand of products. When Jamie posted the photos on social media, the whole thing looked like a blatant celebrity product endorsement backed by a royal stamp. A former palace official called the personal gift an excuse and absolute garbage, pointing out that the Sandringham meeting made it clear the couple was never supposed to use those letters again for anything. Next up was the Harper's Bazaar incident. During a cover shoot in late 2025, a staff member reportedly announced Meghan with her full royal title before the interview even started. The writer noticed that a house manager literally yelled out, "Meghan, Duchess of Sussex," when she walked into the room, which was weird because they were the only two people in the house. The same thing happened during an earlier meeting at the La Brea Tar Pits in Los Angeles. A staffer yelled out, "The Duchess of Sussex," the exact moment a golf cart rolled up. Royal commentator Helena Chard said the move was very showy. Chard mentioned that Meghan values her royal title a lot and holds on to the Duchess title to feel important. Another royal expert, Hilary Fordwich, told Fox News Digital that this was done on purpose. Fordwich added that staff must have been given clear instructions, and using the royal title this way was at least hypocritical. The pattern was hard to miss. But the gift baskets and the formal announcements were just the warm-up. What came next took the title debate to a full-blown public war that nobody could ignore. So what was it that finally pushed people completely over the edge? The moments that made the title debate unignorable. The title controversy had been bubbling under the surface for years. But April 2026 managed to turn the volume all the way up. Meghan launched a collection of Mother's Day candles through her lifestyle brand as ever. On the surface, selling candles seems completely harmless, but these were not just standard grocery store candles. They were marketed using the specific birth dates of Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex. To put it plainly, the children's official royal titles were printed directly onto consumer products meant to be sold for a profit. Social media completely lost its mind. The argument from critics was incredibly simple. It is impossible to tell the world that the goal was a private, independent life, only to turn around and slap royal titles on scented candles to boost sales. It is the exact equivalent of resigning from a hospital, giving up a medical license, and still calling oneself doctor on a skincare line just to make customers trust the product. People saw through the strategy instantly, and the internet was absolutely furious. The public backlash went past normal annoyance. It became deeply personal, and the internet aimed the anger directly at King Charles. One critic publicly demanded that the king step in, arguing that Meghan was using royal titles for raw commercial profit. Another commenter went even further, calling Charles completely weak. This person claimed the king had the guts to do other things, but lacked the backbone to stop what they described as a pair of street hustlers. Those are brutal words to throw at a sitting monarch. The fact that these specific comments went viral online proved a much bigger point. The public stopped politely asking questions and started demanding real action. Meanwhile, the silence from the palace only made the internet angrier. The 2026 Sundance Film Festival added more fuel to an already raging fire. Harry and Meghan showed up as executive producers on a documentary called Cookie Queens. Producing a film is perfectly fine, and nobody had a problem with that part. The actual problem was that their full royal titles, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, were displayed prominently in the credits. They did not use their regular names. They used their titles in a commercial entertainment project at a major film festival. Viewers spotted it immediately, and the backlash hit fast. The critics actually had a point. It was a golden key that opened doors most people do not even know exist. It is the exact equivalent of keeping a permanent backstage pass to every exclusive event on the planet, except the pass came through marriage, and it stayed active long after quitting the company that handed it out. The title guaranteed invitations to exclusive events that normal celebrities could only dream about. It drove ticket sales at luxury gatherings where people paid thousands of dollars just to sit in the same room as a duchess. By 2026, the public frustration went from a slow burn to an absolute explosion. The most interesting part of the entire situation was the person everyone expected to fix it. People were no longer looking to King Charles to end the arrangement. The focus changed entirely to Prince William, the future king. Multiple reports showed that the heir to the throne had completely run out of patience and was already planning the exact timing for his move. But here is where the story takes its biggest turn yet. Most people assumed stripping a royal title was basically impossible, something that sounded good in angry tweets, but could never actually happen in real life. So what changed in October of 2025 that proved everyone wrong? The Andrew precedent that changed everything. In October 2025, King Charles did something absolutely unprecedented for a modern British monarch. He stripped his own brother of virtually every title and honor in his possession. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, previously known as Prince Andrew, Duke of York, was officially kicked off the roll of the peerage. His Royal Highness's status was completely cancelled by legal decree on November 3, 2025. Workers took his ceremonial banner down from St. George's Chapel, and authorities evicted him from Royal Lodge, the massive 30-room mansion he lived in for more than 20 years. Buckingham Palace explicitly stated the actions were necessary punishments following years of massive public outrage over Andrew's close friendship with convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein. The downfall of Andrew was completely brutal. But for everyone watching the drama with Harry and Meghan, The most important part was not actually what happened to Andrew. The real story was what the movie proved was possible. For years, palace insiders claimed that stripping royal titles was a legal nightmare that required a literal act of Parliament. The handling of Andrew completely destroyed that excuse. The king just signed a piece of paper, and the titles vanished overnight. A constitutional expert at University College London confirmed that honors handed out by royal privilege can be taken back the same way. Royal biographer Andrew Loney reportedly called the Andrew situation a very useful exercise in showing what is possible regarding titles. More pointedly, he described it as a warning shot across Harry's bow. George Gross, a royal expert at King's College London, told PBS that the move was a very clear statement of what had to be done to get the house in order now and also going forward for the future. He explicitly linked it to William's future reign, saying that the decision made life easier for the Prince of Wales. The anti-monarchy group Republic went even further, stating that the title stripping was about William and Charles protecting their position by putting as much distance between themselves and controversy as possible. That calculation applied to Andrew today, but it could just as easily apply to the Sussexes tomorrow. The impact on Meghan was immediate and deeply unsettling. Radar Online reported that she was panicked and defiant. A source told the outlet that Meghan told friends nobody is taking her title away, insisting it is tied to her identity, her achievements, and her public image. Losing the title would feel like being completely erased from the narrative. The fear made perfect sense. Andrew's titles vanished in less than a week. The entire process moved with a speed that shocked even seasoned palace insiders. If the king could do that to a born prince and a queen's son, the family could do it to anyone. That reality was exactly what kept Meghan awake at night. But exactly how far is William reportedly willing to go? And does he already have a strategy mapped out for the moment he takes the throne? William's blueprint for a different kind of monarchy. Long before the Andrew scandal forced the palace's hand, William had been developing a vision for what the monarchy should look like under his reign. Royal insiders have used the same phrase for years: a slimmed-down monarchy. Fewer royals carrying titles, fewer people on the public payroll. A tighter, more accountable institution where status reflects active service rather than inherited privilege. Podcast host Richard Eden explained that William has always favored a slimmed-down monarchy and that the endgame is essentially just William, Catherine, and their children at the center. Royal author Tom Sykes took the reporting further. Writing for the Daily Beast, he claimed William would issue letters patent to strip non-working royals of their princely titles when he ascends to the throne. Sykes described the change as dramatic and said it would be effected by an executive royal order ratified by Parliament in the early weeks of King William V's reign. Not years into his reign, not after careful deliberation, in the early weeks. The implication was clear. William had already thought this through. The plan was allegedly ready to execute the moment the crown landed on his head. Sykes also reported that William has long admired the Danish model. In 2022, Queen Margrethe of Denmark stripped 4 of her grandchildren of their prince and princess titles, stating she wanted to future-proof the monarchy. The decision caused family upset, with her son Prince Joachim publicly expressing his pain over the move. But it was done, and the Danish royal family emerged leaner and more focused. William reportedly sees that as proof of concept. If Denmark could modernize without destroying itself, so could Britain. The approach was strategic. It was calculated. And it was designed to make the title removal look like policy, not punishment. Not everyone believes William will target the Sussexes directly. Royal expert Afua Achiampong Hagan suggested William will frame the changes as broad institutional reform rather than a personal vendetta. She argued that immediately stripping Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet of their titles would appear petty, which does not align with how William wants to be perceived. Instead, the titles would reportedly be removed as part of a sweeping policy affecting all non-working royals. Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie could also be affected, along with anyone else who does not perform official duties. The distinction matters politically and in the court of public opinion. But the practical effect would be identical. Meghan would lose her Duchess title, Harry would lose his Duke title, and their children would no longer be princes and princesses. But while William was reportedly building his long-term plan for the throne, Meghan's world outside the palace was already falling apart in real time. The empire that crumbled around her. The title controversy did not happen by accident. It went down during a completely disastrous stretch for Meghan's post-royal career. The dominoes started falling in 2025 when her Netflix lifestyle show, With Love, Meghan, completely tanked. The first season got mixed reviews at best. One brutal review from Vulture called it a deranged voyage into the center of nothing, describing it as a monument to watching one woman decorate a cake while talking entirely in cheesy throw-pillow slogans about joy. Season 2 only brought in about 2 million views, failing to even make the top 1,000 shows on the entire Netflix platform. A holiday special failed to register on any chart at all. By the summer of 2025, the original $100 million Netflix deal got downgraded to a much cheaper first-look arrangement. Industry sources told Page Six bluntly that since the show failed to perform, keeping the brand partnership made zero sense. Then the actual brand crisis hit. In March 2026, Netflix officially cut ties with the lifestyle brand as ever. The streaming giant had been an equity partner in the business, which sold jams, candles, teas, wines, and household items. The PR team tried to spin the split as a mutual decision, claiming the brand was simply ready to stand on its own 2 feet. Variety reported that Netflix was literally giving the jams away for free to staff members because nobody wanted them. A website glitch had already revealed that thousands of unsold products were just sitting around in warehouses. Royal biographer Tom Bower alleged that Meghan forced employees to sign non-disclosure agreements before the original jam launch, and that the products were not even made near her Montecito home, despite what the marketing claimed. The staff departures did even more damage to her credibility. In the final days of 2025, Chief Communications Officer Meredith Maines confirmed her exit after only 10 months on the job. She was followed out the door by James Holt, the executive director of Archewell and the longest-serving aide in the entire operation. Maines was reportedly the 11th publicist to walk out the door in just 5 years. Before she quit, 3 other communications staffers had resigned in that same year alone. Their global press secretary had packed up and left the year before that. PR expert Doug Eldridge told Fox News Digital that losing 5 senior communications advisors in a single year is completely abnormal by any standard. Royal commentator Hilary Fordwich went even further, calling the revolving door undeniable proof that Harry and Meghan are unmanageably high maintenance. Former palace staff had already coined the term Sussex Survivors Club to describe the experience of working for the couple. The Spotify deal already crashed and burned back in 2023, complete with a top executive publicly calling them grifters. Meghan's ideas about getting back into acting did not go anywhere either. Her old co-stars from Suits gave her some polite encouragement in the press, but actual Hollywood studios were completely silent. By the middle of 2026, the massive media empire they tried to build outside the royal family looked less like a kingdom and more like a graveyard of abandoned projects and cancelled contracts. Every single failure just made the royal titles way more important. Strip away the Duchess label, remove the Sussex name, and cut the ties to the palace, and there is literally nothing left to sell. That is the exact reality the entire team is trying to avoid, which is why William's alleged plan is so incredibly dangerous for them. With her commercial ventures struggling and her titles under siege, how did Meghan reportedly respond to the growing threat from across the Atlantic? Meghan's fight to hold on. Anyone expecting Meghan to lose her titles without a massive fight clearly does not know her. Reports from early 2026 revealed that the Duchess was getting ready to unleash a total legal war. Radar Online reported that Meghan was already consulting lawyers to block William from stripping her titles the second he takes the throne. Sources claimed she was incredibly stressed about the entire situation, telling friends that nobody is taking the Duchess title away from her under any circumstances. Constitutional experts love to point out that while the king can easily strip the HRH style and prince titles with a single signature, taking away the dukedom is a completely different nightmare. The Duke of Sussex title came from a legal decree back in 2018, and historically, erasing a peerage requires a literal act of Parliament. The only real precedent for this is the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917, which stripped German relatives of Queen Victoria of their British honors during World War I. Trying that same stunt with Harry and Meghan would not just require a vote in the UK Parliament. It could also force identical legislation through Commonwealth parliaments across the globe. Meghan's complete lack of shame went way beyond behind-the-scenes legal threats. In April 2026, a quick 4-day trip to Australia managed to hijack headlines across 2 continents. The itinerary included a luxury wellness retreat where people actually paid over $3,000 just to grab a selfie with the Duchess. Every single event introduction made sure to blast the official title. At one dinner, the host even threw out the phrase, "Princess Meghan," which immediately set the internet on fire. Detractors pointed out the obvious. The Duchess's title is being used like a designer clothing tag to prop up every single business deal and public appearance. Strip the royal label away, and the reality is just another influencer hawking high-end candles and expensive jam. Keep the label, and it's instant royalty. That tiny distinction is worth millions of dollars. At the same time, Harry apparently signed up for a sporting event using the last name Wales instead of Sussex. The move immediately left everyone confused about why he was suddenly dropping the title they spent years fighting to hold on to. It was a massive contradiction, especially since Meghan previously went on her Netflix show and told Mindy Kaling that being a Sussex and sharing a last name with her kids meant everything to her. Harry's mixed signals just threw gas on the fire. It leaves everyone wondering if the couple is actually on the same page, or if Harry is finally starting to accept a reality that Meghan refuses to face. The truth is, nobody outside that massive California mansion actually knows what is going on. It must be exhausting trying to coordinate a brand strategy when one person is signing paperwork as a prince and the other is trying to sell lifestyle blog items. The communication barrier in that house has to be immense. With both sides reportedly dug into their positions, what does the future actually hold for Meghan's title, and could William really follow through on the threats? The countdown has already begun. Everything comes down to one question: will William actually do it? The honest answer, based on everything royal insiders and constitutional experts have said, is that it is not a matter of if. It is a matter of how and when. William has reportedly made his position clear to friends and allies. The titles will be addressed when he takes the throne. The only question is whether it happens through a targeted action against the Sussexes or through a broad institutional reform that catches them in its sweep. A friend of William's told the Daily Beast in language that left no room for interpretation that there is no way king. William will stand for this, and the titles will simply be removed when he is king. The mechanism is already understood. In the early weeks of his reign, King William V would issue letters patent declaring that only working members of the royal family may hold the HRH style and princely titles. The dukedom is trickier and may require parliamentary involvement. But the HRH designation, the princely status of Archie and Lilibet, and the prestige that comes with being addressed as royalty can vanish with the stroke of a pen. For Meghan, the consequences would be enormous and far-reaching. Without the Duchess title, the foundation of her post-royal brand disappears overnight. Every event where she is introduced as the Duchess, every product marketed with royal connections, Every $3,000 ticket price that trades on proximity to the crown loses its commercial power. She would become Meghan Mountbatten Windsor, or simply Meghan Markle again. But losing a title is not just about a name change on a passport. It would tear apart an entire empire that was built, deal by deal and event by event, on the power of one single word: Duchess. So just how much does Meghan stand to lose if that word is taken away for good? The title that built an empire. For Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, the title is not just a fancy name on a letterhead. It is the foundation of literally everything she has built since leaving the palace. Think of it like a lawyer whose entire career runs on their license to practice. The moment that the license gets revoked, every contract, every client, and every deal they ever signed suddenly looks completely different. Losing the title ruins everything for Meghan. The brand deals, the celebrity party invites, the luxury retreats, and the Netflix money only exist because she is a duchess. Stripping that title does not just change a word on a piece of paper. It completely destroys the foundation of her entire identity. For someone who apparently makes that specific word her whole personality, losing it would be a total nightmare. The funniest part about this whole mess is the massive hypocrisy. Back when Harry and Meghan walked away from the royal family, they looked everyone in the eye and claimed the whole escape was about freedom. King Charles is 76 and still dealing with cancer treatment, so he obviously has no energy for a massive public fight over titles. He is already trying to survive a health crisis and keep the entire monarchy from falling apart after the Prince Andrew disaster. Starting a brand new war with his youngest son is the absolute last thing on his priority list. But Prince William views the situation completely differently. William does not share his father's hesitation. He is not scared of the bad press from stripping the titles. He apparently thinks that letting this awkward situation drag on just does more damage to the institution he will eventually run. It is like a new boss taking over a company and immediately spotting the one terrible policy that everyone hates but is too afraid to change. William wants to be the one to finally kill it off. All the signs are pointing to the same outcome. Royal expert Emily Andrews claims William might strip the titles from Archie and Lilibet first, and then go after Harry and Meghan next, using the excuse of modernizing the family business. Royal biographer Tom Bower says the couple is basically living on borrowed time. Even worse, a friend of William told the Daily Beast that a way will be found. Those 5 words tell you everything you need to know. It means the decision is already finished behind closed doors. The meetings happened, the lawyers checked the paperwork, and the strategy is set. Now it is just a matter of timing. Meghan married a prince, got a duchess title, walked away from the family, and built a whole second career on a brand she promised not to use. Now the clock is ticking. Should William strip Meghan's royal title when he becomes king, or should the Sussexes keep what the Queen gave them? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.